Hey y'all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And we are back to finish up the third party conventions of this year. This is the last time that we are going to be talking about this until maybe the week before the election. Who freaking knows? I'm done. I'm so done. I want to go back to the past.
Part 2, subheading, It Ain't Easy Being Green.
I will throw my laptop out the window and pretend it's you. Also correct. But I'm trying to think if we have any housekeeping going on for this.
There's no better reason in my mind to miss the vice presidential debates than to talk about Jill Stein with you, Dusty.
Oh, thank you. I think that means a lot. I think.
I am mad because once they were like, yeah, we're not going to do any fact checking. Bye. I was like, I was really looking forward to this debate. I was really looking forward to it. And then the media just decided to collect their check. And
you are doing this with a man who has written fiction. Don't do that.
And admitted as much.
Fucking garbage town.
So instead, sing to me a song.
Well, yeah, I get to sing you a song about the Green Party's nominee for this year for president for the third time, Dr. Jill Stein.
Third time's a charm. Yeah. Don't call it a comeback.
I wouldn't. So yeah, when we left the Green Party last week, things weren't great. They've had a rough year. Initially, Cornel West was their candidate. Then he dropped out in a bit of sound and fury and anger at Jill Stein. Everyone else who was running for the nomination, not really a good option.
Not really a good, cannot stress that enough.
Yeah. So the only option available is Jill Stein. She's done it before. She knows what to expect.
She can fill out the online Myers-Briggs candidacy bullshit.
But is it a good idea? Well, that's what we're gonna try to end on with this. But as I said in the last episode, I think we kind of get in our heads that prior to 2016, Jill Stein just doesn't really exist. And then, the day of the election, we all hate her, using the figurative we, the national we. And she gets all the blame for 4 years of Trump. Here we are again.
Right.
So I think
which is unfair because there's so much more to dislike about her, is the vibe I'm getting from you.
Look, I'm not saying that you should predict that's going to be your experience. It might.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying blaming her for an election, I'll get to it, is empirically wrong, but we'll get there. But yeah, I just want to talk about Dr. Jill Stein's pre-2016 life, maybe debunk a couple myths along the way, find a few themes that are frustrating, and come out on the other side to see if there's any new opinions or just old opinions that are now based on better information.
Truly, I love this. This is science.
It's true. We are political scientists with beakers and goggles.
That's the sci and poli-sci.
Yeah, it is. It's, I'm sure there's a chart. I'm sure there are equations you have to learn to be able to do it. It's oh my God. I had a teacher in high school that said if he ever pulled up next to us after we graduate and couldn't repeat the equation for photosynthesis, he'd yell at us.
That's not going to make you remember any harder. Plus, after graduation, I don't know about you, but I certainly discovered weed.
Yep. So sorry, Mr. Price. I do not remember the equation for photosynthesis. But also, I'm not a fucking plant man. So
yeah.
Touche. So I'm going to start off with the fact I didn't know about Jill Stein. She was born in Chicago.
She's a Chicagoan?
She
should have amped that up.
Right. Well, she was born in Chicago in 1950, but she was raised in the northern suburb of Highland Park.
Oh, never mind.
So nope. Chicago.
No. Highland Park is it's a different area code and a different way of living, and
I honestly couldn't remember if Highland Park is one of the bougie neighborhoods, because it is.
It fancy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remembered Winnetka was. Is Highland Park where the Home Alone house is, or is that?
I think Home Alone is in Winnetka, but Highland Park gets hilarious. Telling that I know this fact, but Highland Park gets name dropped in The Good Wife.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that where The Good Wife is from? Or
it's where she was living before her husband got Clintoned in the storyline,
Mm.
and then she like is on the fence about separating or divorcing him, and but eventually like she and the kids move to a very nice condo in Chicago, but
Oh,
everyone's just like, yeah, because she's coming in with like fabulous heels
yeah.
and skirt
I just
suits,
assumed it
and
was set in New York City. I might actually have to watch
it's
The Good
filmed
Wife
in New
now.
York City, and it's very
Oh,
evident that it is filmed in New York City, but with like the Addison stop somehow painted onto like the one L track they find in the outskirts of Queens. It's Dusty, we are we are a podcast about third parties. I can't drag us down into my own personal hell of
of The Good Wife.
location sightings and
Look, I think that's one of the best things about being a Chicagoan long term is that you can watch shows set in Chicago and just laugh your ass off to no end. Like,
yes.
oh my God, what was that sitcom where it starred a woman who was like a beat writer for the Cubs?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh God, I don't it was
like,
like My Boys or
yeah, My
something.
Boys. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the Morton Steakhouse is on like this tree-lined street with no cars, and this.
Let's talk about how in Happy Endings they do a cut shot to a news report on a TV because like one of the characters' apartments had caught fire and the address was listed as like West Clybourne. Like it was just like,
Mhm.
you're telling me that no one in your writing staff did any time in Chicago? Like
The answer is
there were
no.
just so many egregious, like, where are we? How is this placed in the universe?
So I have to look
This
this up, and we'll get back on track. But
No, we won't. We're not talking about Jill Stein anymore.
no, no. If we are going to watch the ultimate set in Chicago, quote unquote, a billion times movie, when I was in grad school, I wrote a paper on evangelical end times film and the various archetypes within.
Ooh,
And one of the movies I watched is this movie called Jerusalem Countdown. It's set in Chicago. It stars a very drunk Randy Travis, who's a country music singer.
yeah.
All of his scenes are in a bar, and I think that had to be written into it. But it's an end time sort of thing. But there's like this house in the burbs, and essentially the address is in the loop. But my favorite part is when the rapture happens, you can see the souls rising above the city, and there
Yeah.
sure are a lot of souls getting raptured from Boys Town. I'll tell you that.
Stop it.
It's the best.
That's so great.
So we'll have to watch that someday.
Jesus loves the gays.
Oh yeah, politics. All right, so Jill grows up in Highland Park, and at the age of 5, we get our first bit of confusing lore.
Hmm.
So one of Jill's first and greatest loves is music. She plays guitar. It strikes me she plays maybe piano and a couple other things, but like guitar is her main thing. And it's around this age she gets introduced to folk rock. As a
Hell
genre,
yeah.
just think like Bob Dylan or Joan Baez, and that's as rockin' as it gets.
Hell yeah. Very hip at the time.
And she stated that at the age of 5, she remembered University of Chicago hippies throwing parties across the street from her home, parties that her and her parents even attended.
In
Now,
Highland Park?
I'm going to say there are some red flags I am sure that are arising. The very first, why is a kindergartner attending hippie parties?
That's actually like the part I have less confusion with because like I'm sure it's like a number of people were probably parents. You just
Right.
like all the kids end up in the basement or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, fine.
Yeah. So
No
there's that.
one from Highland Park is going all the way down to Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And Hyde Park is its like even within Chicago limits, it is its own little universe
Right.
detached from everything else.
Yeah, so I looked. It's a 34-mile drive from Highland Park to Hyde Park, so
You
it's
might
about
as
an
well
hour and 10 minutes
you might as
in
well go
good
to a separate
traffic.
state. Yeah.
There's no transit connections either.
Nope.
So kind of the way. Well, the other thing is that she said she was hanging out with hippies in 1955. And hippies weren't exactly a thing until like the early 60s. Like 1964 seems to be the consensus year that hippies became a thing.
Right. Before they were beatniks.
Right. And I think this is where she's just using easier terminology to explain to people
Fair. Totally fine. But
because at the
like,
time they were also called hipsters. And when she was interviewed about this, it was like the early 2000s.
oh yeah. And that would have been seriously confusing.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
hippies make sense. It's an easy. But
But I
yeah,
promise you there were not hipsters in friggin' country club attending Highland Park.
Right. Let alone students from the University of Chicago. I mean,
No.
so I think there's a couple of things you can maybe assume. Like one, maybe her family moved to Hyde Park and they just never said. Another option is maybe there was like a home across from theirs where grad students would like visit a professor who was living in Highland Park and they just like did musical hangouts or something like that.
Fine. A stretch, but fine.
Or maybe she's like a 5-year-old and, is thinking Northwestern students or any
Yeah.
other university that's closer. But my personal favorite is that the person interviewing her heard her say university students from Chicago and heard University of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is a really good thing to start on, though, because so much of Jill Stein's legend and lore involves these little moments that feel like big lies, but when you start to kind of look into it, they're complicated and stupid.
Incredible.
So it's I think it's a really good theme to really kind of push aside the chaff, find what's really important to focus on, and go from there.
Yeah.
And that's why I spent 2 paragraphs trying to figure out where the fuck they were from when she was 5. So for now, we're going to skip to college. In 1973, Jill Stein graduated from Harvard with a double major in psychology and anthropology.
Ooh.
She also studied a little bit of sociology as well. And in 1979, she got her doctorate from Harvard Medical School, which led to a 25-year career with a focus on internal and adolescent medicine. So she is a
Wow.
real ass doctor.
But yeah, not even like doctor of literature, like a doctor
Oh
doctor.
yeah, and from what I've read, pretty good doctor.
That's great.
So during her 25-year career, she's also teaching at Harvard off and on. She begins looking into pollution created by coal plants and trash incinerators and connects the smoke to potential harms in children.
Hmm.
And this would be an early advocacy of what is known today as social determinants of health, or the idea
Mm.
that your surroundings, often dictated by economic status, play a vital role in overall health. And due to this, Jill would reroute her focus in the late 90s to speaking on these issues to state officials, protesting coal plants, and pushing for their closure. But there's something that gets in the way of that. As I told you that Jill likes herself some music.
Yes.
By the 90s, she had a thriving career as a doctor, teaching at Harvard, and her 2 sons were grown to the point that she had a bit more free time. So she returned to something that she had given up: music. Prior to 1991, she had performed in college, done some solo work, fronted a few bands, but when she was in grad school, she kind of had to put things aside to focus on med school.
Yeah. Kind of all encompassing.
Yeah.
Or at least you want it to be. Jesus.
Exactly, yeah. And then she became a mother, and there was just like no time outside of her
Yeah.
job to really follow any passion.
Oh.
But that all changed at a party when she met a man named Ken Seltzer. Ken was also a folk singer, or had been at one time, but had since pivoted to running his own recording studio and producing. The pair hit it off and decided to give performing in their 40s one more go and formed the folk rock duo Somebody's Sister. You made a face. I want to know your opinion.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've heard a clip of her stuff. Here's the thing, is like I went into this and I still will be ready to cringe hard
Yeah.
on my own side. There is a part of me that's like, give space to acknowledge that like it's really hard to keep up a hobby.
Mhm.
Good for her for like
Right.
reinvesting in her 40s,
Right. For a midlife crisis, this is perfectly fine. Especially if you know someone that has a studio, you're not really, paying for studio time and throwing yourself into bankruptcy.
Yeah, I feel like I know so many friends and family who are in bands now, and it's
Mhm.
like that's the release. That's
Yeah,
like that's the joy in life.
exactly.
And I don't want to poo-poo that.
Look, I will tell you this. Just so you're not like completely freaking out, it's better than Randall Terry's album. I know that's not a high bar, but we will be listening to 3 different songs that I think are really good representations of the growth of the band, or at least the arc of the band.
Ooh, yeah.
So Jill said of joining Kin, quote, "My music came from folk roots. Playing together, I've learned to go beyond that. I've become more unhinged and open-ended. It helped me break out of the limited patterns of folk music." And as for Kin, he said, quote, "I'm a much better songwriter and singer. Jill has brought earth to me." Neither of those made a ton of sense to me listening to their music, but, go on. Jill also noted that the duo allowed her to really improve on her guitar skills because initially she was just doing chords, but after playing around a bit more, she started doing like her own solo work and things like that, and
Hey.
branching out. So Jill switched to working part time and committed as much time as she could to the band. That
Well,
said, she also was clear that she did not expect the band to get big. For them, it was just something that they were doing because they loved it. Now, understanding the early 90s in music is you
mm.
really only need to know one fact. In 1992, a band named Nirvana showed up and destroyed the career of every single hair metal band that had ever graced the earth. So
Your kids, look it up.
yeah, so folk rock wasn't, gonna be breaking through. But I don't think they knew that they were on the cusp of folk rock actually kind of making a comeback. They were years away from Ani DeFranco and Dar Williams and Tracy
Oh
Chapman.
yeah.
There was like a real sort of resurgence on the horizon. They just couldn't see. So a moderate amount of success really could be had. They just had to have the music to lead them there. So lucky for us, Ken Selzer put all of Somebody's Sister up on Bandcamp. So if you want to listen to it or buy the whole discography, it is there. Una, what is your relation with folk rock? I know this is a very loaded question with you going to Oberlin, but
It's so funny that you say that because I never cared for it. I
yeah.
never like sure I enjoyed a Dylan song here and there. But what I really remember is having a friend group where everyone else really loved folk music and like
Yeah.
just so much of it. And I was the one who was just like, or we could listen to Joan Jett, or
Hmm.
we could actually, I don't know, rock instead of this hasty ass peace, love, and hippie music. I don't
Yeah.
know. I got a rage within me. I don't understand why you all don't.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
have
we'll put
some
on some Dylan
anger.
for that. That guy's filled with rage.
Yeah.
We'll do some
Yeah. That
Donovan. How about some
and
Phillips?
and it's one of those things too where it's like Joni Mitchell in particular. I respect the hell out of her. I think she's wonderful. I never want to listen to an album by her,
Okay.
mostly because it was like Joni Mitchell was asserted onto me
Right.
by others.
Right.
It's that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a choice. It was
It
just
wasn't
playing
a
it for you.
choice.
I mean, I can say that about Dave Matthews Band, I think, when I was at OU, but it's
And
amazing
like
how.
all of this was in high school. I feel like when I got to
Oh,
Oberlin, it was more like yeah, no, at the times that I was at Oberlin, it was like, hey, do you want to take this experimental college, this exco class on how to write your own Belle and Sebastian song? That was the
yes.
vibe.
My God, yes. I am feeling sinister and I should go see a minister. God, that's a fucking hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think when I was in college, because my musical likes didn't really blossom until I got to college. I just remember Ani DeFranco being like the joke musician you bring up to make fun of people. It's like, oh,
Wow.
listen to Ani DeFranco playing hacky sack all day, man. And so, like, until I started listening to Somebody's Sister, that was the first time I actually sat down and listened to Ani DeFranco. I missed out, man. She's pretty good.
She is great. And more to the point, you missed out on the window when she was just being judged by her music and occasionally her lesbianism.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, then, like in more recent times, I think she tried to have like an artist workshop at a plantation. The optics were just so bad. It was so tone deaf. It was real, yeah, it was just like, oh no, Ani DeFranco, no.
Well, and it's wild just because I would never listen to Ani DeFranco, but then I discovered Dar Williams because someone sang one of her songs at an open mic night, and it was so fucking funny and good that I was just like, okay, this is fine. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So weird lines were
Yes.
drawn.
Yeah. Also, for those listening at home, in case it hasn't been obvious, I have not great taste in music. I will be the first to admit that, unless it has to do with Eurovision, in which case I'm right.
Right. Oh, of course. So starting off in 1993, we have their first album, Flashpoint, and for it, I
Yeah.
have queued up the album's title track.
All right. Are there lyrics?
Eventually, yeah, yeah.
Ah.
Babe, I've been wishing for something we're missing. Don't know what it is we need. Wish I could restore what we had
terrible.
Yeah, it's exactly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would expect that, like going to the local Cajun restaurant and there's like
Yeah.
not an open mic night, but like a live band.
Right, yeah. The owner's cousins have a band and we're letting them
Yes.
play their version of like Jimmy Buffett Zydeco.
Yes. They're really excited to be there.
Right. And like I said, this is easily the best one on the album, which is not saying much. So there are five major flaws that I was able to find in the band, and then two pluses. So very few songs that they have are under 4 minutes long.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're not getting into Eurovision.
Oh no, they are fucking not. And most of this is because Ken cannot resist playing a guitar solo on every song, if not two.
Yeah, it
And
took a while to get to the lyrics.
yeah, the man loves going up and down some scales. He loves doing like little blues flourishes. And after about half the album, you're like, okay, I've seen all your tricks. I'm done. Like I don't need any more. And almost like all the songs are like a mid to slow tempo. It's really, really hard to find a song that's like upbeat and fast.
Mm.
Another thing is Ken and Jill need guidance on where their vocal ranges are the strongest. Particularly, I mean, they do have a range. It's just they can't get too high and they can't get too low. But the big problem is they keep going too high and they keep
Right.
trying to like what's the term when you go from one note to a higher, like you're to sing a note up the scale without like breathing or changing.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
let's call it Mariah carrying.
Right. Oh yeah, they cannot Mariah Carey whatsoever. It's their voices work best when they're clearly focusing on a note per breath,
Okay, sure.
or a note per word, whatever. But this also results in the fourth big problem is rather than write words and lyrics that fit the time signature, there's a ton of stretching words to fit the number of beats that need to be there.
Indeed, I did notice that on Flashpoint. Yes.
Yeah, and so they stick out like freaking crazy, especially because they can't Mariah Carey and make it sound good when it stretches out. Because if you're gonna do that, you gotta like change notes. You gotta make it interesting. You can't just like, take a one note of music and keep it at the same tone.
It feels like the singing equivalent of like trying to hop between stones to get across a river, and it's like
Yeah.
one is just spaced a little too bad, and it's like, and you just end up pulling a groin muscle.
Oh, 100. Yes. Yes. It's out. They're working very, very hard when they should be working easier.
Mm.
Or working smarter.
Yes.
But then my big issue. So they have a couple of like protesty songs on Flashpoint. There's one song called Somalia, which the notes I wrote for is that it sounds like some suburban housewife just found out what happens in Somalia and where it is, and she's having a bad time about it.
That's also, yeah, also like, wow, what a time capsule. It's
Mhm.
like, yes, that was the issue
Mhm.
of 1992, indeed.
And
Yeah.
so, like when you listen to it's more swaying hippie music that's really not capable of pushing people to act in any way. Because, when you listen to Rage Against the Machine or Rise Against or System of a Down, you're filled with a righteous anger and that needs to go somewhere. It
Hmm.
really hypes you up for direct action. But with this, it
To
feels
the mosh pit.
right. I will throw elbows and then we will get people registered to vote.
Yeah.
Something. But with this, it's just too laid back and it's more about feeling righteous than doing anything about it. So,
That's a lot of boomer activism.
right. It just feels like I understand you like doing music, but if you're doing protest music, you gotta have a call to action of some sort.
A nice chant, perhaps.
Right. Oh my God. I would kill for a chant in any of the songs I listen to. Okay, so the big pluses. Jill's voice is really good at backing vocals. Like she's very good at pairing up with Ken when he's singing, and maybe it's because I don't like Ken's voice and hearing her like come in really kind of softens things.
Mm.
But as we find out in their 1996 album, when proper guidance is there, Jill's voice is really good.
Hey, Jill. Okay.
So in 1996, they released their second album, a self-titled album, Somebody's Sister by Somebody's Sister. The one I want you to listen to is Rocky Mount Road, track 2.
I love that ice cream. Okay, Rocky Mount Road, track 2. Let's do it. Why is it still going on? Give me the lyrics.
Right? No, Ken's got to show off. He's got some blues runs he wants you to hear.
Up and down the trail, paths twist and fail. Mountains lead you on where they please. A slash and burning winds after you again. Mountains bring you down on your knees. Hard to ride the uphill, too fast going down. Make it past the bend, you turn around. Just try to hold the Rocky Mountain
Oh no, what happened?
It was so this is perfect because this past week, especially with the passing of Chris Christoph, is that his last name? Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Christopherson.
Been listening to a lot of old school outlaw country.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And then like especially in the beginning, I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting like Blue Mountain Ridge. I'm getting a little like, yeah, coal miner's daughtery.
Mhm.
And then she starts singing, and it's like, what are the lyrics? Like they almost sound AI generated. Like they
Yeah.
almost don't quite make sense.
Yeah.
All right. So now
I'll give you that. I think I was very impressed by like, oh, this isn't like someone's constraining Jill and keeping her in her lane
yeah,
vocally. And I think I was just like,
definitely.
oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's very
but
pretty.
I think it's also a sign that folk rock is not her genre. Like she really should have leaned into like country or bluegrass. And
Yes.
like she could really nail that. There's another song on this album called Guardians that is definitely the song with the most potential because it's a song about saving the mountains from strip mining,
Oh,
and
sure.
it's haunting and lilting, and her vocal runs they're not really huge jumps, but they're just like very very calm and fitting for the song, and it's fucked up because Ken has no idea how to play the guitar for a song like this. And it's like,
Ah,
so you get like these weird sort of like, you've heard his runs, his like bluesy sort of guitar runs, and it's like, no, you need a banjo in here. You need a mandolin. You
yes.
need step the fuck back, Kenneth. And like bring in some people who know what they're doing for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You need that Nashville crowd.
but the funny thing is though, the reason that Jill's voice is better in this, for this album, they hired a vocal coach to work just on the vocal sound.
Mazel tov. Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself.
Exactly. And like it's clearly helped Jill so much to get direction. If the vocal coach tried to tell Ken anything, he completely ignores it. He falls into his regular pitfalls consistently, and it's just
Wow. Jill, Ken is holding you back.
100%. Like the main thing I said about Guardians is that it's being ruined because he has this upbeat nonsense going on the guitar, and it's like this is a terrifying song. Lean into it. Get dark with it. Listen to some fucking late Nickel Creek and just, it's not out yet, but get a time machine, listen to it, and then fucking come back and re-record this. So 1997 brought the band to a very unique sort of situation. As said in the Boston Globe, they were too loud for folk gigs, but too quiet for rock venues.
Bluegrass, motherfuckers.
Right. They don't go that direction.
Secret third thing.
They
as the
decide
internet
what they're
says.
going to do is they need to rock hard.
Wait, no,
So
wait.
they expand the band by 3 more members,
Oh man.
including a world beat drummer by the name of Paul Gonzalez.
Ooh.
And the goal is to make the music meaningful, yet have something that you can, still dance to. And the change did give Somebody's Sister their first acclaim beyond Boston. On 2 different occasions, they were semifinalists in Musician Magazine's list of best unsigned bands.
Cute. Okay.
I did look at Musician Magazine's albums of finalist bands. Heard of none of them. Doesn't mean
Right.
anything, but it's not the best of signs when all the
Yeah.
best unsigned bands are still unsigned. Anyway, so going into the year, I expected an edgier sound to go with the more rock focused direction. The band released two EPs in 1997, Green Skies and More Music, both of which were huge letdowns. And we're not going to listen to anything from them. It's just like, I'm expecting more rock. And essentially, what we get is just someone's playing drums now.
Interest. Yes.
Yeah. The vocal coach is now gone. Jill has regressed to her worst habits. She's trying
No.
to do like bluesy jazz singing, and she does not have the voice for it. Like she's
Oh
trying to go
no.
smoky, and she does not have that in her. She's
Yeah.
like, I was trying to think of what like I could compare her voice to when it's really hitting. I mean, you'll hear it, audience. Yeah, smoky is not a tone she can work with. And Ken really wants to do blues music. It's just a what's the word? It's a disaster all the way up and down. The lyrics are somehow worse, and there's not much the new members can really do about it. And so finally we have 1999 Circuits to the Sun. The title track is a song about a woman who's really into crystals.
Incredible.
It's not horrific. It's probably like if I had to rank the songs, it's probably in my top five, which still isn't great, but I can appreciate it for what it is. But by this point, Jill had begun her environmental activism in earnest, and the gigs performing around the Boston metro area became less and less. As for the album, there is one song that really caught my attention called Dirty Little Secrets. It will be the last one I'll have you listen to.
Talking about some dirty little secrets. Talking about some things you cannot see. Smoky signals out on the horizon. Slowly unrolling in the breeze. She says it's getting to the river. Settles out upon the distant sea. Maybe it's just her imagination. She says it all comes back at you and me. And rockin', dirty little Thompson. She won't sit there watching like a dog. You know she came of age before the days of rage. She knows how to find a small sign of hope.
No.
All right, I want you to put yourself in my shoes. You've been listening to about 2 hours of folk rock, and all of a sudden this comes up.
This is like peak 90s influence. Like
Oh,
this is like,
100%.
hey, we've got the Cardigans and Tori Amos and Liz Phair, and you're gonna put them in a blender
Mm-hmm.
and just hit pulse a couple times.
Yes.
Because it's like
Yes.
that, like if I had to come up with a composite of just like, hey Uda, tell me like what was the sound of female alt rock in the 90s?
Yep.
That was it. Like that's what that's what AI would throw back at you.
Right. I find it hilarious that we both thought the same thing but came up with completely different bands. I wrote down
Like that.
the first 50 seconds is a Shirley Manson impression,
Oh yes.
immediately followed by Sheryl Crow.
Mm,
Yeah.
and you're not wrong.
Yeah, and neither are you. I mean, this is some B track good Cardigan shit. Like, they've already had
Yes.
Lightful come out and they just want to get away from that song as fast as they fucking can.
As someone who had multiple albums by
Yeah,
them,
a great fucking
hilariously
band.
enough. It's a great band. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, just imagine you've been listening to nothing but like anodyne folk rock for about 2 hours, and then this comes on, and you're like, fuck yes, take a fucking chance. You want to be a rock band, you fucking do it. You go and you try. And then the second that they just like abandon, being whole or garbage for the first 50 seconds, they just flip into like fucking Sheryl Crow's B-side of Steve McQueen, and it's just like, stop it. I appreciate this is still different, but fuck, man.
I feel it's like, well, yeah, because they are cosplaying at being Gen X.
Yes. I do also really appreciate that it just immediately gets into the song. There's no like
100%. 100%.
so the other big thing against the song is it like with the sound starting in, this should be a tight 3 minute, 2.5 tops. It is 6 minutes and 5 seconds long.
Jesus.
A harrowing length for a song. It just constantly reminds me of the issue with Oasis's Be Here Now, where every single one of their worst albums and every song on it's like 6 minutes long, and the only song that's like short is a reprise of the most annoying song on the album. Just like
Dude, I hear
guys,
they're getting back together.
I'm good for them, I guess. But yeah, it's so fucking frustrating that they for a split second you have something new that if they just leaned into it, it might be cringy, but it's at least something new and you're at least trying.
Yeah, yeah, you're spreading your wings.
Yeah. So with that, so ended Somebody's Sister. But when God buries a band, sometimes they open a political window. In 2001, the Green Party of Massachusetts were on the lookout for a gubernatorial nominee. Thanks to Ralph Nader in 2000, the party had automatic ballot access in Massachusetts, and in order to keep it, they needed someone who could get them 3% in a statewide race in 2002. In Massachusetts, the statewide races were like governor or auditor or secretary of state or in midterm years, president, of course, and president. This is very important in the future. So
it will be on the test.
Right. And so they really, really needed someone who was a good public speaker, could get people excited, but also was a really good representation for the party. And their first and only choice was to ask Dr. Jill Stein to run for governor.
Oh.
Up until that point, she was a registered Democrat. But after they approached her, mostly based off of her activism work, she left the Democrats, joined the Green Party, and ran for governor. The main feature of Stein's first campaign was that she was going to run as a clean elections candidate. The previous year, the state passed a law stating that if candidates stayed within a particular clean election parameter, then they would get a large amount of extra funds from the state. And to qualify, Stein needed to get 6,000 small campaign donations between $5 and $100. And if that many donations were certified by the state, her campaign would receive $3.4 million from the state.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
One key issue, though, is that the state legislature refused to fund the bill. So in order to get the money, if they qualify, Stein would have to file a case with the state Supreme Court to get the money, and then this would force the state to sell land that they owned at an auction until they had enough money to pay Stein the money.
Oh, this seems very bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the bill got passed, people refused to fund it. It was one of those things where, like, and I might be wrong on this, but essentially, like, one state legislature passed it, the next one then was in charge of the budget and just did not allocate any funds. But we're going to cross that bridge when we get there, because first, Jill has to qualify. So Stein's platform featured a number of topics that she's always focused on, such as universal health care, campaign finance reform, and environmental issues. And included in her first run was also a push for ranked choice voting and abolishing the state's high school graduation test. Early on, newspapers often talked of the Green Party's popularity bursting in New England, but the articles also had to note that pretty much all of Jill's events featured more empty chairs than attendees.
Oh.
Despite this, it only took until the end of May for the Democratic Party to accuse Jill Stein of being a potential spoiler against the Republican nominee, Mitt Romney. State Democratic Party Chairman Phil Johnson would say, quote, "Apparently the Green Party wasn't satisfied with putting George W. Bush in the White House. Now they want to burden us with Mitt Romney in the governor's office. Anyone who votes for Jill Stein is actually voting for Mitt Romney."
To which I say in 2024 as a progressive Democrat, how about you do better? How about that?
That's funnily exactly what the Boston Globe editorial board responded by saying, and I'm paraphrasing, "If Phil Johnson is so worried about the Green Party, then maybe he should focus on giving people a reason to vote for the Democrats."
Yep. That's the paper that brought us Spotlight. So
yeah, I mean, I will say the Boston Globe was incredibly helpful in research for this. So kudos to them.
Yay, journalism.
So this ended up being a pretty good point too, because Stein was not having the best of luck getting support or raising money. But by mid-June, the Stein campaign stated that they had submitted 6,450 campaign contributions to the state, which is about 800 over the minimum required to get those campaign millions. The main hurdle, though, is that the state wasn't in charge of certifying the donations, but rather local election boards. And the state didn't really give clear direction on how the local election boards were supposed to certify the donation.
Oh my God, you guys.
Now, I didn't read any newspaper articles that said that this was a problem, but I assume it didn't help things. So by the time the deadline passed, the state was able to confirm 5,430 donations, meaning Stein came up 236 donations short.
On.
By mid-August, the campaign had gone from on the verge to $3 million and becoming a serious candidate to only having a little over $1,000 on hand.
No.
This was a devastating fuck up.
Uh,
The funny thing, though, is this didn't mark the end of the campaign, and even with pretty much no cash, Stein was still polling 4% overall. 3 weeks before the election, the Boston Globe did a huge feature on Stein about her upbringing and her first campaign. However, they did also note one huge downside. Quote, Stein's campaign is a study in disorganization. Her appearances change locations on short notice, interviews are postponed, and queries go unanswered. The campaign's one paid staff member also told the Globe that she hadn't been paid in over 2 months.
yikes.
A few days later, this disorganization was displayed in the campaign's non-compliance with the Campaign Finance and Lobbyist Reform Act of 1995. This was a state law that stated that whenever you got a donation, it had to come with a person's name and the name of who they worked for, or the company they worked for. This was used as a way to try to cut down on straw donations, which is the huge thing that got Eric Adams indicted.
Indeed, yes.
It's where a company just gets someone to donate a large chunk of money or the most that they can under campaign finance laws, and then the company just refunds the donation to various employees and people as a workaround so the company can just donate as much as they can. So no one running for governor this year really did a great job at it. No one did better than 45% compliance. The Stein campaign, however, had 0% compliance. And every donation they turned in did not include the business that people worked for.
You're only going to get $1,000 anyway, like just tiny due diligence. At least show that the $1,000 is like well within compliance. At least have that against, who you're campaigning against.
So this disorganization of the campaign was encapsulated best by a swing voter who said, quote, if you can't organize a campaign, how are you going to organize the governor's office?
So true, bestie.
Yet despite all of the things that went wrong, on election day, Jill Stein got 3.5% of the vote, and only with $3,500 cash on hand by the end of the election.
It's a great ROI.
It really is. And this was also good enough for third place and a guarantee that the Green Party, now named the Green Rainbow Party because they merged with the Rainbow Party of Massachusetts, they now had state ballot access for the next election in 1994. Wait, no. Derp, derp, derp. 2004. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, Mitt Romney won by 5%, so she wasn't a spoiler either.
Yeah, suck it.
The Democrats kind of fucked up by nominating someone who voters viewed as more interested in attacking Mitt Romney than saying what she'd actually do when in office. Which, look, I get it. The man's got a punchable face. He's annoying in ways that are hard to explain. But
yes,
there's a fucking line.
But also, yeah.
And if you're a Democrat who loses in Massachusetts, you have some fucking explaining to do.
You really, go to Southie and explain yourself.
So in 2004, Stein was ready for her next campaign, and she did the thing that people always tell third parties to do. She ran a more local campaign for state representative in the 9th Middlesex District.
And I was expecting the twist to come, and you were like, and she ran for president.
Right. I know, that is the typical twist, but instead, she actually went more local.
Good.
She was running up against Democratic incumbent Thomas Stanley, who'd been state representative for quite a long time. And again, this was a long shot race, but not nearly as impossible as trying to become the governor of a whole state when you're a third party nominee. Thanks to the Wayback Machine, there is an archived version of her campaign site.
Hey.
Her platform's fairly broad, but that's kind of to be expected for a state rep race. She promises to place her focus on improving the environment for children's health, protecting women's rights, and combating overdevelopment to make housing affordable. So, local topics. Great stuff. Financially, this was also a much better funded race for Stein. While the incumbent Democrat raised $57,000, Stein was able to come in second with a respectable $32,000, making her the top fundraiser of the 18 legislative third-party candidates running in the state that year. And on top of that, she also secured the endorsement of the state chapter of the National Organization of Women. So she is full on running a serious, well-funded campaign.
Yes, with endorsements and everything, and a good platform.
So a typical problem that we have is that for local races, especially for third-party candidates, there's really not much info that you can get on how the race went. Even local newspapers are kind of hard to get this information. But we do know that Jill did really, really well. She didn't win, but she finished in second out of three with 21.3% of the vote.
Oh,
And she beat the Republican candidate, which
hell yeah.
that district is not very hard to do, but doing that as a third party is still great.
Yeah.
That said, she lost to State Representative Stanley 60 to 21.
Nah.
To make matters worse, the Green presidential ticket didn't hit 3%, meaning after Jill had won the state ballot access, they just lost it.
Nah.
So once again, Stein did the thing that people yell at third parties for not doing. She went even more local in 2005. She ran for a seat on the Lexington, Massachusetts town meeting.
Dog catcher.
I'm close. So I'm going to ask you a question I think I know the answer to. Have you seen Gilmore Girls?
I've seen a couple episodes.
Okay,
I have not, I'm not a full-on Gilmore Girl head,
fair enough.
but I'm familiar with it.
So one of the plot points every once in a while is that the town that Lorelai Gilmore lives in, Stars Hollow, Connecticut, has a form
Yes.
of government called the town meeting, in which the entire town shows up to a designated place and everyone votes on stuff as it's brought up. Very popular in New England, especially.
I was going to say, it was like, that feels more New Hampshire than Connecticut, but fine.
So Lexington, Massachusetts has this. It is somewhat of a smaller city. So while in, the Stars Hollow fictional town meeting has like 5 members,
Sure.
the Lexington, Massachusetts one has around 200.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And they do not have that much power. Essentially, what they can do is they can bring up what's going to be voted on, and that's about it.
All right.
But it's still a local election. It's still something you can run for. It's nonpartisan, so people aren't going to see if you're a major or minor party candidate. And so Jill runs in her district, which is has 7 seats. So as long as you finish in the top 7, you're going to get a seat on the town board.
Okay.
And Jill does even better. She finished first with 14% of the vote. So Jill Stein is one of the few third-party presidential candidates that we've talked about who has held elected office.
Oh my God, she actually won something.
Now, I did say there's not a lot of power in this. I should also mention that they meet probably around 3 to 4 times a year. So it's not a regular sort of thing. She's not like quitting her job to do this full time. I don't even think it pays.
It feels like a great retiree gig.
Right. And since, there's really no need to single out any of the members of the town meeting, none of the papers write about it, and there's really no indication of what Jill did on the board or didn't do or pushed for, which blows my mind because I would assume that she would want to mention that herself.
So, at the very least, to say, like, I have in fact won an election.
Right. So after 1 year on the town board, 2006 comes around, and the Greens are desperate to get back their state ballot access before the presidential election in 2008.
Boy.
So they go to Jill, and Jill agrees to run again, this time for Massachusetts Secretary of State.
Okay.
And for this election, the Greens desperately need a good finish to get back on the ballot. And by choosing the Secretary of State race for Jill, it was the perfect plan. She's going to be running against longtime Democratic incumbent Bill Galvin. And he had done so well in previous elections that the GOP just quit running against him.
Oh, geez.
So when Jill entered the race, she became the only competition that Bill Galvin would have for the general election.
Ah.
However, the Greens are potentially going about doing a little skullduggery of their own, really getting into politics.
A little rat fucking.
A little bit, a tiny mouse to fuck, a little mouse fucking, if you will. So Bill Galvin's not expecting any competitors in the Democratic primary when out of nowhere, this 39-year-old attorney named John Bonifaz files paperwork to run. And Bill, he's the Secretary of State, so he's got pretty handy information about filing and who signed paperwork and who's donated and stuff like that. He also seems a little vindictive and weird. We'll get to that. And so he starts looking up the information that Bonifaz put in, and he saw one of the people who signed his petition to get on the ballot is Jill Stein. He also notices that one of the people who's donated to his campaign is Jill Stein. And so he immediately goes to the press and says, the Greens are trying to run a competitor against me to make me waste money before I run against Jill.
Yeah, well, fucking do it, man. Like, do you
Yeah,
want this seat or not? It's
right.
not illegal.
Yeah, it is not. It's a little fucky, but it's not illegal. When asked about this, John Boniface said, "I signed petitions for Bill Galvin and for Jill Stein. So I just want people to run for office."
Yeah.
And that is actually his whole thing is he is like a voting rights lawyer. And he
Oh,
was one of the guys who
interesting.
helped push for the clean elections bill to go through.
Oh,
So he seems decent.
yeah.
But at the same time, little stoat fucking going on. I'm running out of varmints. So in the Democratic primary, Galvin would crush Boniface 83 to 17. And despite Stein being the only other candidate in the race other than Bill Galvin, newspapers didn't write much about her campaign at all, which led to Bill Galvin refusing to debate her.
Boo.
Eventually, Galvin would relent, and he accepted a debate about 2 days before Election Day, but he got to set the ground rules. Galvin would only devote 5 minutes to debate. There would be no audience. The location would be kept secret.
Boo. What?
That's it. Yeah, and that's the deal that's on the table. And Jill took it.
Ah,
Also, the debate would not be aired on television. Instead, it was put on CBS Channel 4's website, and not just on the front page of the website, but on a blog section of the guy who moderated the debate.
this is anti-democratic, frankly.
For a man who is in charge of the elections in the state, this is really fucked up.
It's not great. It's not a good look.
And that's why I'm going to take a brief moment to say, hey, Bill Galvin, anyone who works for Bill, this is for you. Your fucking website sucks ass. I've been trying to collect all the information on who's running this year, who's running for president and things like that. It took you motherfuckers over a month to certify who's running in the general election. And I don't think it's because it was hard to do or anything. I just think you're too fucking lazy to update your website. And because it's just been so easy for you, Bill. You don't have anyone running against you. You're coasting. Get your head out of your ass. Fucking do your job.
He's still Secretary of
He's
State?
still Secretary of State.
20 years later? No,
Mm-hmm.
no, get this guy out. Come
Yeah.
on. Let's
No,
get
he's
some fresh blood.
Bill Galvin could go fuck himself. I've never met the man. All I know is that he
Yeah.
didn't debate Jill Stein and he seems weird. Fuck you. Your website sucks. The only one worse is American Samoa, just because they haven't updated their Secretary of State site since 2016. So fuck
Damn,
yourself.
okay.
I'm angry about this and I don't. So Galvin ends up beating Stein 82 to 18,
Damn.
but it's more than 3%. So the Greens are back into the automatic ballot access in 2008, which meant Stein could go back to Lexington and run for re-election for town board, which she won in 2008.
Hey, now she's won 2 elections.
Yeah. So now we have a candidate who has won re-election as a third-party candidate and is showing sustained local support. These are the building blocks to create a movement, or at the very least, a respected candidate. And it's a fine line to tread. But the move would seem to be making another run for state rep, especially since from 2004 to 2010, state rep Thomas Stanley ran unopposed in all of those elections. And with Steinstar rising, I mean, she could have a real chance at winning without anyone throwing a spoiler label at her. And then the election of 2008 came.
Mm.
So the Greens in 2008 nominated a former Congresswoman named Cynthia McKinney. We've briefly talked about her in the Rage Against the War Machine episode. Since she ran for president, she has revealed herself to be an extreme anti-Semite. She's
Yikes.
also David Duke's one black best friend.
No.
She's just a garbage human being. And surprise,
Uh,
surprise, when she ran for president in 2008, the people of Massachusetts did not like her that much. And she got 0.02% of the vote in Massachusetts, which kicked the Greens right off the state ballot again.
Oh boy.
So it's 2010, and they asked Jill to run for governor again, and she did. And look, I kind of get it. I understand. It's important to have ballot access, and especially if you have no one else running for statewide office during presidential years, you kind of have to put all your eggs in one basket for the statewide races. And if Jill has done this for you twice, I understand the reasoning that she could do it for you once again. The real gut punch, though, is that Jill Stein resigned from the town meeting in order to run for governor.
Oh no.
And she never ran for town meeting ever again. So this is the end of Jill Stein, local hero.
No.
Um,
She could have had a very nice life.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, very clearly, I think the move would have been to run for state rep, or if she was going to run for governor, stay on the town meeting board. Like, what harm
Right.
is there in staying and doing that? The other thing that we really got to talk about with 2010 is that was the year of the Tea Party movement, a sort
Ah,
of a bit of
yes.
a proto-fascism, if you will.
Indeed. Yes, where we all learned about astroturfing.
Right. And so that was 2010 was also the year that Scott Brown was elected to US Senate from Massachusetts, the
Oh,
first
yeah,
Republican senator to do that in quite some time.
that dumb piece of shit.
Right. And he coasted in on Tea Party support.
Hmm.
So Jill sees this and she thinks, I think I can save them. What these people need is not an amuse bouche of totalitarianism. What they need is to be shown that they could take that populist sentiment and place it towards leftist policy. When has this ever gone wrong?
Bit of a different demographic for the two camps that you just described, my gal.
Uh-huh.
Uh, on top of that, I just love how she is the internet meme of I can change him.
100%. It is. Look, I appreciate taking, taking a new chance on a race that you can't win. And if you think this is where, the tides are changing and this is where you're going to be able to gain new followers, fine, let's see how it works. And this particular campaign would actually go a lot better for Jill. So, an early poll from Suffolk University gave her 8% in late May, which would have placed her in fourth overall. And this is because there are three major candidates running. You have Deval Patrick, who's the incumbent Democrat. You have the Republican nominee. And then you have the state treasurer, who is a Republican who leaves the party to run as a more Tea Party independent candidate.
Ah, yes.
But 8% is pretty freaking good going into the race. The problem is this is Stein's third run for state office in 8 years. And there's a name for that. And it's the name of our podcast. And if you run for state office too many times in too short a period, the press starts to not take you very serious.
It also reminds me, as someone who reads way too much Regency era erotica and romance novels.
Go on.
It's like you have the wallflower trope who's quote unquote been on the shelf for a few years without nary an engagement or proposal, and it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good.
I mean, look, Spencer's gonna spence. It's yeah, it absolutely does not look good. And so, at one point, Jill very much could have been considered the plucky upstart, really hitting above her weight limit.
Yeah.
And at this point, the Boston Globe is referring to her as a frequent candidate. And 1 month after they refer to her as that, a poll comes out and Stein is down to 2%.
Yay. See, I just feel like this is misogyny.
Look, I don't believe you're wrong because he's running against three dudes.
Yeah.
So we'll let's keep that on the back burner for now. But all's not lost, because so long as she could file for the hundreds of thousands of state dollars as a clean election candidate, she would regain the respect of the press and have the funds needed to fully fight three well-funded candidates. And this time around, it's hundreds of thousands because the treasurer, a guy named Cahill, is also running as a clean elections candidate. So if they both get it, then they have to split the pot.
Ah, well, boo. There's your spoiler candidate.
Right. So by July 8th, Jill Stein's campaign had only raised about $11,000, which is far below what they would need to be able to qualify as a clean elections candidate. However, the deadline isn't until October this time around, so there's still some time. And one of the things that really helped Jill Stein this time around is she's actually getting invited to televised debates.
Hey, okay.
There are a couple radio debates where she's not invited and she leads a couple protests there, but for the most part, she is on the stage and she is talking with everyone else who's running. And this has the unfortunate effect of her poll numbers dropping even further.
Oh no.
So she was very quick to blame the press for her flagging support and claimed they were purposely ignoring her. The Boston Globe, in an article about the campaign, retorted, quote, "She frequently complains that the news media does not take her seriously, stifling her message. But her campaign rarely communicates with reporters or provides her schedule. A little bit of a theme from the first time she ran for governor."
Ooh.
The paper also said, quote, "She describes society's problems in complex, interconnected terms. But when talking about her political opponents or the moneyed interests she blames for many of the nation's ills, they become two-dimensional cutouts, serving as her foils." Which is not the best. Like, I get it. Society's complicated, things are hard. It's really tough to talk about health when also pollution is involved in the topic. It's hard to talk about housing when fair wages are also part of the issue. But you also have to like describe things in a way that people are like, okay, I can vote for you. I understand what you're talking about.
Right. That's the whole point is like the candidates are that have that charisma X factor. That's something it's like, oh, I trust this person, or like, yeah, it's like they were able to bring that issue to me in like a really well-informed but bite-sized way.
And if like you're also saying these declarative statements like, Deval Patrick is, funded by lobbyists and are extremely clear on that, then it makes it very strange that you can't be that clear on things you believe in and things that you want to push.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the weeks before the election, the Boston Globe had a small front page feature where the candidates were asked silly, humanizing questions. Like, what's your favorite food? Do you have a favorite movie when you're relaxing?
Yeah.
And the three major candidates took every chance that they could to give a paragraph of humanizing answer. The Republican nominee had stated that one of his favorite songs was by Blink 182.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very much Paul Ryan loving Rage Against the Machine vibes,
Oh
but
God, Paul Ryan. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Jill, not once, not twice, but thrice was not able to answer the simplest of questions that would have, humanized her to a whole public.
She's given JD Vance vibes, frankly.
The three questions she would not or could not answer. What's your most embarrassing moment? She had stated that she had blocked out all of her embarrassing moments and couldn't think of one.
Okay, I get that. But that's also one of those things where it's like, it's like, oh, well, give me a second. And it's like, girl, you performed
Right.
live in a band. Like,
Yeah, you have
there's
performed
got
at
to be,
countless
it's like,
coffee
oh,
shops in fucking Boston, of all places.
right, right. It's like, yeah, there was that time that there were more people on stage than there were in the audience.
Right.
Haha. Anything.
Yeah, the simplest of goddamn answer. She was asked what book is on your bedside table. She responded by saying she doesn't have a bedside table.
Jill, but understand the sentiment of the question. God damn
No,
it.
no, Boston Globe, the award-winning newspaper, frame the question better.
I don't have a bedside. No, Jill.
Yeah, and the last one, who's your favorite actor? The Boston Globe made a point to say that after they asked her, they said they would give her more time to think about it, and she still said she didn't know.
No, you just say Matt Damon and what's his face? You just like
Yeah.
look, yeah, you just go full Boston. Come
Yeah,
on.
it's the fucking easiest. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So that didn't help. The election became a first for Stein because she ended up finishing fourth with less than 3% for the first time ever. She ended up getting 1.4% of the vote. But luckily for the Greens, their candidate for state auditor, Nat Fortune, was able to get 5% of the vote in his race, which meant that Nat saved the Greens from losing ballot access for 2 elections in a row.
We're entering our Nat era.
It's he never ran for another office again.
And for that reason alone, he remains my hero.
This would also mark the last time the Greens ran for governor of Massachusetts. And since they've only regularly run for statewide races for Secretary of State or Auditor, and Auditor is traditionally the race that gets them back on the state ballot for presidential years.
Jeez.
So a lesson that could or should have been learned is that this kind of Tea Party inspired populism does not work on the public, let alone the left. So maybe it's time to refocus on local offices, go back to Lexington, get your seat on the town meeting. Fuck you, Jill's running for president.
No. Those humanizing questions were her villain origin story. Now,
Yes.
now she's fully a third party candidate.
Yeah, it's like 2010 really feels like a fulcrum moment where it went from like, okay, this is a very promising candidate with a lot of good intentions
Wait,
to
okay.
someone who learned the wrong fucking lesson and just sunk cost fallacied herself into who she is today.
Okay, so this is 2010. When was she born? How old is she at this point?
1950, so she'd be 60 at this point.
Okay. I had a theory that is like terrible and I'm going to get my woman card revoked. But there was a part of me that was just like, because again, like the humanizing questions that she just shat the bed on. Part of me
Yeah.
was like, is she going through menopause? Like, I just wonder if like,
Great question. Really good question.
like at some point, like I can just imagine myself in 5 to 10 years just being like, I don't fucking know. I don't have a bedside table. Like, God,
Like,
is it
menopause-
hot in here? You know?
Menopause sounds terrifying, the little bits I've learned about it. It sounds fucking dumb.
at least you've learned something about it.
Right.
I'm going in cold.
My
I don't
God.
know what's coming down the pike for me.
Yeah, it's such a weird turning point for Jill Stein. I don't know. Maybe with everything that I say after this, you'll be able to help me understand if I'm reasonable or not. I think misogyny does kind of play a bit into it as well, but it's
Hmm.
really kind of hard to compare her 1.4% turnout when she's on TV all the time, really getting her voice out there a lot more often compared to her first run where it's like she's barely out there and on a shoestring budget and still gets 3.5%.
Yeah, I mean, America hates older women, and the
Yeah,
march time marches one way. So
true,
I
true.
and also like it reminds me of like the Amy character from Veep, how there's just like a running joke about how she gets described as shrill. And
Yeah,
I can just imagine if
yep,
like Jill Stein's like, yeah, they keep putting you on the camera and people hate you more. It's like, right, because I'm a woman existing. So
yeah,
I don't know what
yeah.
else to tell you.
No, I think that's very fucking fair. So, October 25th, 2011, Jill announced this year's running for the Greenstein presidential nomination. Now, this wasn't a decision made without thought or a plan. She stated that after watching the rise of Occupy Wall Street, she felt that the country might actually be ready for a third party option, and it gave her the faith to run. And her goal was to get on the ballot in at least 45 states, push for passing the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, place a moratorium on house foreclosures, and withdraw all troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. And Stein easily won the nomination on the first ballot at the Green National Convention with 67% of the vote. Initially, she planned to nominate the runner up to be vice president, but the runner up actually got nominated to be president from the Peace and Freedom Party. They ended up nominating a comedian by the name of Roseanne Barr.
Ah,
So instead, she chose anti poverty activist Sherry Hunkala. So, admittedly, I am going to super condense Jill's first presidential run. It's probably not fair. A lot of things happened, but I want to get to the modern era to talk about
yes.
whether the myths around her deserve to exist or not.
Yeah.
So to cut it short, the main features of the campaign is Stein and Hunkala get arrested 3 different times. Once at a bank in Philadelphia for protesting home foreclosures, one time at Hofstra University because they tried to enter the presidential debate, and both claimed that the police took them to a warehouse and zip tied them to chairs for 8 hours before they were finally released.
I mean, I'll believe them
I
over the
I I,
police.
I thoroughly believe it. And the last arrest was at the Keystone XL pipeline because they were trying to deliver food to the protesters who were there. They did not serve any jail time for any of these protests.
Okay.
Also, there was the worry that she was going to spoil the election for Barack Obama. Literally every election she has run, with the exception of town meeting board, she has been accused of being a potential spoiler every
Yeah.
fucking time.
They hate to see a girl boss winning.
They hate to see a girl boss existing, I think, at this
Yes.
point. I'm on your side on
Yeah,
this.
she's
I think
not
you make a
actually,
very
she's
good point.
getting 2%, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So she didn't end up spoiling the election for Obama because she placed fourth with 470,000 votes or 0.4%. And she was only able to top 1% in Maine and Oregon. So not a
Okay,
great
mate.
run,
Yeah.
but
The
way
two
better.
Portlands came out hard for her.
Yes, she really, it was like Portland or bust.
Yeah.
But this was pretty huge for the Green Party. This was the best result that they had had since Nader, essentially. So
Wow.
things were looking up.
Yeah.
So 2016 comes around and she's running again, finishes fourth, this time gets 1.1%, 1.4 million votes, which leads us to potential myth one. Jill
Yeah.
Stein stole the election from Hillary Clinton and she should be banished to the fucking netherworld for it. Fuck you.
No,
We have
no, because I've seen the pie graph, and the not voted at all takes the higher chunk of either of the two main candidates.
Well, even better this time, we actually have statistics to throw on this. It's not
Ooh.
just feels and vibes. Clinton would not have gotten 100% of the Green Party votes, which if she did, it would have flipped all 3 states and she would have barely won. And the 3 states being Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So, a friend of the pod ended up sending me an old 538 article in which Nate Silver, I know there's opinions, but this is the only researched information about this that
Yeah.
exists that I could find. So we're going with it.
Harken back to when we could stand him.
Right. He's fine. And so he looked at pre election polls and exit polls and deduced that if Stein did not run, 35% of the Stein voters would have voted for Hillary Clinton, 10% would have voted for Donald Trump, and 55% just would not have voted.
Yes.
So you plug
Yes.
this information in to all the voting, and it means that Clinton would have flipped Wisconsin, and she would not have come close to flipping Michigan or Pennsylvania. She needed all three. Myth busted.
Oh, Michigan.
Yeah, Pennsylvania in particular is interesting because not that many people voted for Jill Stein.
Yeah.
So it's like Hillary would have needed like 86% of Stein voters to even have a chance of winning.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's, I've kind of made that my side hustle. I don't know, side hobby during this election. Whenever people say, Stein ruined the election, is like, actually, please use some math, please. Please don't learn the wrong lesson. Please don't think that if you yell at Green Party voters enough, you'll win. Are you
Mhm.
satisfied that myth number one is busted?
I am. I'm satisfied.
Myth number two, Jill Stein is a Russian agent.
All right. Hit me with the facts.
Okay, so I think we
Well,
all,
hold on, hold on.
yeah,
Is she a knowing, willing Russian agent
yes,
or
a
a
knowing,
patsy?
willing,
Okay.
paid Russian agent.
Okay, okay, okay.
What is your opinion on
Fascinating.
that going in?
No, that's come
Okay,
on now.
okay.
Come on.
So the main crux of this evidence comes from a picture of her sitting at a large wedding-ish table with Vladimir Putin. Michael Flynn's also there, but it's for a
What?
gala event honoring Russian state TV channel RT. So along with Stein for this gala event, there were other invitees from America, such as former Salt Lake City Mayor Rocky Anderson and former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. Stein, Rocky Anderson, and Jesse Ventura went there for free. Mike Flynn was paid $45,000 to go.
Yeah, that's your Russian agent.
Yeah, the money is going directly to him, and he's filling out the paperwork for it as a foreign agent. So Stein has been very adamant since this picture has surfaced that yes, she's sitting there. Vladimir Putin is at this large table, but according to her, he was only there for a few minutes. There was no time to have a conversation with him, especially with translators involved. He was there, he was gone. She also states that at this gala, she gave a speech that was judgmental to both America and Russia for their imperialistic ideals. I was not able to find any video of this, but for now,
Mm,
let's take her at her word that this
fine.
is the
Yeah.
case. So this picture does end up getting her wrangled into the U.S. Senate's investigation of Russian interference of the 2016 election,
Fair.
and she works with them pretty regularly. And what the Senate ends up finding is that Russia did, in fact, make posts online trying to get people to vote for Jill Stein. However, they were not able to find any evidence that Jill knew this was happening. However, Jill also kind of has a habit of adopting really fucked Russian talking points.
Yeah. So this is why I asked like difference of like knowing, full well knowing agent of Russia or patsy. Believe she might be an accidental patsy,
Yeah,
but I don't think she is like red sparrowing her
right.
way through various American elections.
Right. I've been trying to understand it a bit, and I think it's gotten a lot more clear after the recent interview that she's done. She went on to Mehdi Hassan's show, in which he confronted her, saying, "Hey, you have no problem saying that Joe Biden, Dick Cheney, or Benjamin Netanyahu were war criminals, but what about Vladimir Putin? And what about Bashir al-Assad?"
Yeah.
And, she does state that, like, yes, it's very obvious those guys are war criminals, but I don't want to say that Putin's a war criminal or al-Assad's a war criminal because that'll destroy any chance of diplomatic, remedy. To which Mehdi was like, well, you're fine getting rid of diplomatic remedies with Netanyahu? Like, you're
Yeah.
willing to throw that away, but not with, like, Putin or al-Assad?
Well, and also like the wording was so careful. She said because he was just like, "Would you say he is a war criminal?" She's
Right.
like, in so many words. And he's like, "What does that
Yeah.
mean?"
It's like, I
Yeah,
asked you a very straightforward question. I
yes
gave you
or
the
no.
dignity of that. Well, and it goes back to that whole thing of like, some issues she will answer with like this deep, interconnected, rambling, sensible, but also like not good for the moment answer. And at the same time, will give very straightforward, two-dimensional cutout
Yeah,
accusations towards people, and they just don't mix. They don't
yeah.
work with each other. So 2 days later, after that interview, she posted on Twitter saying that, giving a long list of people who are war criminals, including Putin and al-Assad. And the response to that was divided. There were a number of people who were like, "Thank you for finally saying this. It means a lot that you're being honest about this and being straightforward with your answer." The
Yeah.
other half was, "You have capitulated to the deep state."
All right.
Well, the idea, and this is actually what led me to really kind of understand why she was giving the answer she was given. Because the foundation of a lot of these statements was, anything the American empire does especially when it comes to regime change, and that's the like is bad. In regards to Russia and Syria, American intervention, say in Ukraine or in the Syrian civil war, is America doing regime change. And so you have to stand beside Putin and al Assad so America doesn't push them out.
Oh,
It doesn't have to make sense. It should.
okay.
It should. Because
Okay.
as a number of people have noted, both can be true. Like, they cannot be a part of American imperialism and still suck shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of like, it's been a weird time for the Stein campaign, because there are a lot of people who have come out and said, I'm no longer voting for you. You're just supporting American regime change, whether you know it or not.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I think it's either, it's either her being nervous about pissing these people off, which has now happened, or she just naturally has inclinations to be pro-Russia and is just doing it for free.
Yeah.
I don't know which is better, but I definitively do not think she is a Russian agent.
No, no.
So for 3, it's going to start with the idea that it's a bad idea to run Jill Stein for president. One path is it's not realistic with the goals of the Green Party. And the other
Mhm.
is she is consistently hiring irresponsible people to run things.
Wait, am I choosing which?
One or the other.
Oh,
Either big picture, it's a bad idea, or she hires people who don't know what to do.
what if I think it's both?
Ooh, okay. Okay, I'll just run into this then. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember this after 2016,
Yeah.
after people are getting pissed. A couple weeks after the election, Jill announces that she is raising money to pay for recounts in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. So within 2 days, she raises $5 million,
Oh,
with the ultimate goal of raising $7 million to be able to pay for, the 2 million ish to file for the recount and pay for it, and then an extra 5 million to pay for any sort of legal challenges to the process.
mhm.
Which they were expecting the Trump campaign to absolutely try to stall it in the courts. Now, weirdly enough, the Democrats were actually really stoked about this idea.
Hell
Because,
yeah.
yeah,
They're not footing the bill.
well, there's that, but also if Hillary files for recounts, then that's kind of coming across like the Democrats think the election is fraudulent and that
God
she's a
forbid.
sore loser. So,
Never mind the fact that we won the popular vote, but
right,
yeah,
right.
fine.
So the Stein campaign made it very clear going in that they did not think that they actually won. They were doing the recount because a number of organizations had told them that they were concerned about voting irregularities across these states. One group consisted of Barbara Simons, who is a highly respected expert and pioneer in electronic voting. I could not find a single bad thing about her. The other group is the National Voting Rights Institute, founded by Professor Alex Halderman and attorney John Bonifaz, which you
Yeah,
might remember is the guy who ran
hell
for
yeah.
Secretary of State. So John is back.
Voting rights lawyer.
They immediately file for a recount in Wisconsin and state, quote, Jill Stein has requested a full recount of the presidential election in Wisconsin, alleging that foreign hackers could have skewed the result by obtaining the state's voter database and then filing bogus absentee ballots. So this is
Ooh,
based off of there have been Russian hacks throughout the year. There are the Clinton emails. There have been worries all year long. They make this statement and they have no proof that it actually happened. They are literally just throwing a dart in a dark room where they think a dartboard might be.
got it. Okay.
But hey, if you're going to pay the state of Wisconsin to do this, fuck yeah, go hog wild, man.
Yeah, burn some money. Let's do this.
Stein would say to CNN, quote, we do not have a smoking gun. On the other hand, we have a system that invites hacking, tampering, and malfeasance. And The Guardian would note that people are kind of split about this. On one hand, you do have a lot of hopeful Clinton supporters who are really, really hoping that when this recount goes through, it's going to flip everything and Hillary's going to win these 3 states and our national nightmare is over. On the other hand, there are people who are like, this is a scam. Fuck you. The Green Party's just doing a stunt for attention. Fuck you. And it is kind of interesting that, in a week she raises $7 million when the campaign really wasn't doing that well fundraising. So,
Yeah, but we can all get behind like a decent GoFundMe.
right.
Like as a
Voting is being
nation, we
sick.
can do that.
Yeah. So after 2 weeks, the recount effort is ended. By this time, only Wisconsin had done a recount and resulted in Trump earning another 131 votes.
God damn it.
The Trump campaign was also suing to halt the recount in Michigan and Pennsylvania, but after Wisconsin came through, there was really no point to do the recount in the other states. But the thing is, what happened to the millions that she raised but did not spend for the recounts in Michigan or Pennsylvania?
Ah, what? No.
It would take 2 years to find out. Actually, 2.5 years to find out.
Jill.
So Charles Davis of the Daily Beast reported that filings from the Stein campaign showed that they still had about 761,000 on hand. And in between 2016 and 2018, they had been spending that money on Stein's campaign staff that had pivoted over into quote unquote recount staff. Her campaign manager was getting paid like $7,000 a month to run the recount efforts, even though technically they had stopped. They had spent $750,000 in legal fees in Wisconsin to try to get a hold of the voting machine code. They ended up winning that lawsuit, but it spent so much money that they had nothing left to pay anyone to interpret said code.
Oh my God.
They'd spend at least $13,000 on Twitter ads.
I feel like I'm listening to like a first-time indie filmmaker make all the worst mistakes in putting a film together.
And to make all of this worse, the Daily Beast had assumed that this would at least be one fine from the FEC. So they called up the FEC to see what was happening. The FEC said, actually, they owe us about 9 late fee fines. Going all the way back to February of 2015, showing a pattern of, quote, habitually late filing for their quarterly reports.
Jillian.
So the campaign racked up 9 late fees by 2018, of which 6 were past due and incurring new fees on them being past due.
No.
One was actually 14 months late.
Oh.
So by 2019, the fines plus the late payment fees had totaled to $124,000. So you would think with, $124,000 is less than $751,000. So this would
Just
be
pay
really
it,
easy to
yeah.
do. In 2020, Charles Davis, who's now writing for Business Insider, noticed that the Stein campaign was flat broke. Also, they still owed the FEC $66,000. And so she went to court against the FEC for those fines instead of paying them.
Girl, no.
The court case seems to have concluded in 2023 with the U.S. Court of Appeals ordering her to enter a repayment plan with the FEC.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so ugly. Yikes.
It's not great. And I do want to note that it appears the Stein campaign has turned in all of their campaign finance reporting on time this year.
Okay, so they learned one thing.
Yeah, it seems like the West campaign is the one that's turning stuff in late, but like by a day or two. So nothing like huge.
Right. Yeah.
But so there is that. I do want to give credit for most recent work, but the fact that you are just like choosing to not pay that money back and to just like, and plus that $7 million is just kind of gone.
Yeah, it's gone. And how in hell were you paying some manager of a recount $7,000 a month? That's a grift.
Yeah.
That's grift territory now.
Yeah. There's a guy named David Cobb, who I believe was their 2004 presidential nominee. And the Daily Beast averaged out that he made $278,000 over a 3-year period as like the campaign manager in charge of the recount for all of these years. And it's impossible to really figure out what the heck they were even doing just because they're not filing this information on time.
Right.
The Daily Beast was asking the campaign for comment. They were not getting it. They emailed Jill Stein. They were getting bounce back mailer Damon responses because it was from her 2016 campaign site.
Oh God,
It's
so
not
messy.
great. And it's that I just kind of have to go back. If you can't run a campaign, how are you going to be president?
Yeah. These are the yahoos you surround yourself with?
Right. Well, and it all boils down to the Green Party, I think, knows they are not going to win the presidency. And their goal is to hit 5%. Because if you hit 5%, then you're like officially a minor party. You get a whole bunch of like benefits from the government. You get campaign finance matching and things like that, or to a greater degree. But Jill Stein is not exactly as loved as she was in 2015.
No.
I think we've seen her ceiling at 1.1%. So I don't know how this is going to get above 3% in any state or how she has any chance of hitting 5%.
Yeah, no, at this point it's just I feel like her fan base is just becoming the terminally online and now not even like terminally online and lightly influenced by Russian bots either
Yeah.
because she lost that vote now.
Now, I will say she is polling extremely well with Muslim Americans.
Oh,
She is polling neck and neck with Kamala Harris on that.
ooh,
So that could be a decider in a number of places.
yeah, Michigan
Um,
again.
right, yeah. And so it's it's kind of hard to tell, but that's also like you have to earn those votes, and Harris has done a lot to not earn those votes, especially today.
Yeah.
It's that door's pretty much closed, and it sucks.
Hmm.
But I don't think you can blame that on Jill Stein.
Yeah.
You can blame other things on her, but also
Uh,
there's her platform. I'm gonna hit some small notes because we're running real long. So Green New Deal. She wants to socialize big agribusiness, processing of crops, the entire energy industry, and all rail industry in America. So it's a bit more socialist than I was expecting.
mhm.
She wants to cut military spending by 50 to 75%, disband NATO, abolish
Mm.
the UN Security Council, end the use of drones, and end the embargoes on Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
I mean, I like most of those. I don't get the hatred towards like the UN. And I'm most like
Yeah,
I just it's like we don't even pay our UN dues. Like
yeah.
we're not even financially helping.
I mean, getting rid of any founding nation's veto power, I think, is important. But after that,
Mm,
I think that's all you need to do. Like, you can
yes.
just remove that, then great. But good, I power to you. I don't know how you're gonna.
Yeah, I don't know why they should listen to us, but yeah,
Right.
and yeah, I mean I like, my connection to Poland is like, no, I unfortunately see the value in NATO, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
NATO's not the problem.
Yeah, I truly don't know enough about NATO to really have an opinion on it, but also I'm not going to blame NATO for the war in Ukraine. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of other stuff was going on before that, especially Putin really, really, really wanting to get the band back together.
Yeah.
So fuck, that's all I got. I know it's a bit rambling because there's just so much. There's so much stuff with this person.
And
I
it
don't
just
know,
feels like
man.
an unfortunate, yeah, burnout of what could have been a really decent response to like the Dems not being progressive enough.
Yeah, it is. It is overwhelmingly heartbreaking because you do have a candidate who started off with all the rising star credentials I think you could ask for as a third party, and it's
Yeah.
someone who believes what they're saying, is highly motivated, by all accounts, a very good public speaker, has experience on stage, probably in the worst of conditions, and still got through them.
Yeah.
And man, there were just a lot of people who got very fucked up post Occupy, and they did not do well from that.
Yeah, that feels like the fulcrum of like our loss of critical thinking across the political spectrum.
Yeah. And like I kind of get it because Occupy was a very big movement with some extreme flaws that pretty much doomed it from the start and made it very
Mhm.
accessible to grifters. And I could see people getting jaded from that. But yeah, I think it feels like it goes beyond that, where it's like it's literally the villain origin story for so many people.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't put Jill Stein up in villain category at all, but it's definitely where things broke a little bit bad. I don't know.
Well,
Thoughts, feelings.
uh, I hope she returns to music.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you know what? I would love to see her return to music, go towards a more bluegrass sort of country feel, get a vocal coach in there to really kind of rein in her worst instincts. So, like, her voice
Yeah.
just really, really works. I'd love to see her run for town meeting again. I don't know
Hmm.
if she'd be successful this time around, but I'd love to see something more hyper local. Especially since the argument with her now is people saying, she shows up every 4 years and that's it. That is a myth I was really wanting to debunk. The newspapers did not give me much to work with,
Mm.
but I also do believe she had no interest running this year. 2016 does seem like an absolute hell, and everything after that seemed like hell. And so, why
Yeah.
would you want to do this again?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do hope the best for her, but fuck, this like the Green Party desperately needs to start nurturing a youth bench for the future, or they are fucked. They're just
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe get rid of their ACT ass sign in to become a potential candidate.
right, right. Just like a mentorship program, maybe, or just like
Anything.
an age limit for leadership positions.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I give them maybe 1 or 2 elections from here on out. If they don't change their shit, or if this isn't the last election ever, I could see them just becoming a non-entity in 4 to 8 years. So if you're a young progressive and you want to start a new political party, now's probably the time.
Yeah, gonna need to do something.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who's gonna fill that vacuum. Well, our next episode's gonna be a bummer.
Oh, great.
We're going to be talking about the Rage Against the War Machine 2.0 rally.
Oof.
I don't know if you saw the you know what? Guess what the attendance was?
20.
That's actually a little low. It was around,
Oh,
I would guess around maybe 50 for a space that
oh,
was made for about 100,000.
oh no.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a very sparsely populated rally. I'm going to try to pin down certain speakers that weren't the same as the ones who were there the first year.
Mm.
Some very strange moments. I'm definitely going to talk about open mic etiquette. Talk a bit about the importance of scheduling an event with speakers and the importance of
Yikes.
putting people certain places.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna have my stage manager hackles all
Oh my
up.
God, you're gonna get so mad. I'm excited. But yeah, this is the end of our 2024 coverage for a bit. We are probably gonna have a roundup at some point or figure something out. I don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna make any promises. Fuck you. I don't know why I'm saying that. I was telling Una before this. I've been up since 7. I've had way too much coffee. I've eaten like half a meatloaf piece, so I am drifting off to a ridiculous place where words mean nothing.
You're about to rage against a pillow soon.
It's that's it. I'm gonna rally around the family with a pocket full of pillows. That's a good enough note. All right, thank you all for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time here on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?